Greetings, brethren, Housebroker Donkey here, and I have actually done it, and just in time as well, because I did literally just finish the bases right before I started making this video. So, yeah, Deadcember is completed. This is what I had completed before, the skeletons, and then there is, of course, also this zombie regiment. That was the first one I made. I hadn't put that in with the first lineup because I didn't technically paint these in December, but I'm gonna sort of count them because I did paint 40 more of these for Leon within December as well. So I think adding the 20 with the basing in that I did before is okay. I'm gonna say it's okay. So I'm gonna put these over here. It's 20 zombies. Barely see everything. There we go. Let's pull back a bit further. And then we have 20 more zombies. These are the ones I completed alongside the ones I painted for Leon, T66. Yeah, the only thing I did is I swapped one of the second one that's crawling out of the grave. I had 2 in here. I swapped that to the other unit because I only have 2. I had plenty. I didn't really need to make more of them, so I just kind of wanted to have 1 in each unit. But other than that, they are pretty much painted in the same way, except that I used some different paints. Because when I do this sort of speed painting thing, where I use various Vallejo paints for glazes, I don't really write down which ones I use. So the blue that I used here, I think it's Panzer Ace's Periscopes, and I don't remember what the blue was on here. I think it may have been a gray. Oh yeah, no, it definitely was a gray, yeah. Because I did use a gray, and I think this is it as well. So I have 2 different kinds of blue on these ones. But yeah, whatever. That's something that I actually do like doing. It just gives it a bit of variance without, looking too different. Because they still fit in fine with the army. They just have slightly different colors, and I think that's fine. And then we have the new stuff, and we'll start out with the Ogres. These are the Undead Ogres I bought from Ralpartha, and I absolutely adore these figures. They painted up so incredibly quickly. Granted, I didn't do very much with them. I probably could have done something with there's a bit of cloth that I just painted as though it's leather, and yeah, I basically used the same speed painting technique that I did for the other skeletons on them as well. So there wasn't really much to them, and I kind of painted them within one evening. The basing actually took longer than the actual painting of the figures, but I think they're very effective. I do still really like the rust effect. It's probably one of my favorite sort of weathering compounds that I've ever used. The only thing that I added on these that I didn't bother with on the regular skeletons is I added some sort of notches to make it look like some of the rust had already been knocked off the metal again. And I just did that by putting on some edge highlights and some random scratches and other highlights with Vallejo Game Color Chainmail, I think it is. Let me actually push these zombies aside a little bit so they fit in the middle. Oh, they fit fine. Okay. And yeah, that's those skeleton ogres done. As I said before, I am going to play these as trolls, probably, because then I don't have to invent any rules for them. They have regeneration, and I think even the water walk on the trolls makes sense because they're skeletons. They can just, walk along the bottom of the river, right? So that's my reasoning, and I'm going to stick with it because I don't. When it comes to homebrew, I'm not a particularly big fan of just making up brand new rules just because you use slightly different models. I think it's always better to try and fit everything in the mold that already exists, and then when you do homebrew, make it to like add interesting new things. To me, you know, just adding a new unit or creating a new special rule for a unit or something, that I don't find that particularly interesting, unless it's something really thematic. And I don't think for these ogres it's necessary. But that's just my personal take. Then we have the Wendigo. And all of these figures that I painted in this second round, if you will. Can we get some focus on this guy? There we go. I basically painted them mostly with contrast paints. I didn't make yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to spend hours and hours highlighting everything, so I just went for sort of a muscle, an exposed muscle look on this guy, with the skull and the fur. And the only highlights on this one, I did the same prime white, wash, Agrax Earthshade, dry brush white, and then I put the contrast paints over. And the only thing I did afterwards was, on top of this Blood Angels red contrast paint, I put some Wild Rider red lines to make it look more like muscle. But that's it. Other than that, it's just pure contrast paint, and the skull is the same recipe as all the other ones, all the other skeletons. So, skeleton horde on top of my base coat style, and then dry brushed with Vallejo model color pale sand, and that's it. And yeah, I think he came out pretty great as well. He'll certainly make a good addition as a monster in this army, I think. I'm gonna put him over here. And then we have the giant rats, and they also painted up very quickly. I also went mostly with contrast paints on these. And here they are. Actually, I'm gonna show them one by one. Makes more sense. So yeah, there you go. They each have one wraith with a scythe, and then the rats following him. And as I said, in Oathmark, these are going to be an elf huntmaster and a hunting pack, so hunting dogs. But instead it's a spectral huntmaster and giant rats, which I think is great. And I really like the idea, and I'm happy with it. And I think they turned out really nice as well. And once again on these, it's mostly contrast paints. I used Guilliman flesh on the heads and tails, then various blacks and browns, and this is a bit thinned down Agaros Dunes, I believe, or was it Skeleton Horde? I don't remember. I think it was Agaros Dunes. And then I just painted their mouths red, painted in some teeth with pale sand, because that's what was lying around. And then I did paint them some eyes. I don't know if that actually translates on video, but I did paint them some eyes with Citadel, Averland, Sunset, and then a little highlight dot of Dorn yellow. And on the scythe I did the same with the highlights. Actually, let me pull them off. You can see I put some scratches on the edges of the scythe to make it look a little bit more metal-y. Again, I didn't want to bother with that on the skeletons because there was just so many, but I thought on these few miniatures it makes sense, and it does give them, it does improve the look a little bit, I think. And that's the other Reaper Wraith. They are both Reaper miniatures, the Wraiths. I forget what they're called. I'm not sure if they are actually called Reapers. There's some kind of wraith. I don't remember. But they are both. I think they were actually just regular minions. They weren't anything special. So yeah. And I just took them because there were two poses of him. Yep. And the giant rats, as I said last video, are from North Star military figures, and they're not part of the Oathmark range. They're part of their regular fantasy range, and I think they are some of the best giant rats on the market, really. They are maybe a little bit small for a 25mm square base, but yeah, I'm still really happy with them. And that's all we have. That's the completed army with the Wendigo and the trolls and the 2 sets of rats and the based up zombies. As I said, these were actually painted in November, I want to say. But I did this complete unit, and I did 40 more of them for Leon T66, and so I am counting this as well. So this is what I painted in December, and I'm actually really happy with the result. I wasn't sure if it was actually going to be possible to paint the whole army, but yeah, it went pretty fine in the end, and I think it looks excellent. I'm really happy. Now I'm just missing a few more figures, of course. I don't know if I'm going to immediately have the the motivation to paint those as well. I might have to take a break, maybe build some figures or paint some other figures. I do have a new project that I'm going to be starting in 2021. That'll be sort of my main fantasy project. I think after the Undead and after the Goblins are done, which will be a few more weeks, months, till I have everything done. But when that is all done, I'm going to take a break from Oathmark, because I've painted Oathmark most of the year. I do still have a whole bunch of stuff for it, but I kind of want to paint some other stuff. And it is going to be, ta-da! It's going to be Old Hammer High Elves. I have a whole box of these lying around that I bought up cheaply on eBay over the years. Basically rescues, where people just, here's a bag of trash from the 90s, and I just sifted through it and repaired it, and yeah, stripped the paint and made them all nice and wholesome again. And I have, as I said, I have a whole army of these. There's so many. Yeah. So that's going to be a big project, and then yeah, we'll see what else. I do also have some more Age of Sigmar stuff that I do kind of want to get into. I have some more of these Gloomspite Gits that I really need to do. I really don't want to. I'm really sick of that army. I've been painting it for so long now, but I will. And then the next thing that I'm going to do for Age of Sigmar is Flesh Eater Quartz, because I think they're really cool. And I got some pretty cheaply, pretty much a whole army, whatever I need for a whole army. And I'm gonna paint them up mostly with the airbrush. So that should actually be a pretty quick affair to get all of that done. And then I'm definitely gonna do something historical next year as well. Probably Italian Wars. But we'll see how that goes. I am really itching for something historical. Anyway, I don't want to drag this video too long. This is what I did for Deadcember. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I hope you like the results, because I certainly do. I mean, this is a great army already for just playing purposes. I don't know how many points this is, but it's probably close to 2,000 points, which is excellent. Obviously, it's missing the Necromancer, so with them it's definitely 2,000 points. Alright, thanks very much, and hope you all have a wonderful New Year's Eve, and you slide into 2021 well, and hope to see you all again in the next year for more of the hobby fun. Alright, take care, guys.